afternoon. Happy Friday. This is Jay Rovert, founder and director of the R&B Group, one of the most innovative business networking groups in the country. And I'm here with Mike Mausteller, the president of Buckeye Performance Systems. Mike, how you doing today?
Excellent, Jay. Happy to be here. Always a pleasure to chat with you.
Oh, so glad to have you here. I know we met about 4 or 5 months ago, and we immediately clicked. And you came to one of our events, and then you immediately said, Jay, how many people you want me to bring? And it was just a good start in terms of credibility, the way both sides really played together. So I gather you were brought up in Ohio, the Buckeye State. And just tell us a couple little things maybe in your childhood that sort of gave you the confidence to know you're a businessman or going in a certain direction that maybe made you feel more comfortable going to corporate the world versus being an entrepreneur. Just give us a little background.
Yeah, so childhood, small town, middle of nowhere. I graduated with about 150 kids for size. Didn't grow up with a ton of money, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but things were tight. My mom always made sure of two things. Every year we went to the Jersey Shore, and every year I started school with a brand new pair of sneakers. They were never the Nike Airs, the $200 pairs of sneakers, but I always had clean shoes. In fact, I started working at the age of 12 when it wasn't legal to work until you were 14. And the minimum wage at the time was $4.25, and I made $3.30 an hour. Worked for a big amusement park. It was cheaper for them to pay the fines than it was to pay us, honestly. Been working forever. As soon as I got put down the snow shovel, I was, earning money in a regular job.
That's really interesting here because my Jewish mother spoiled me rotten, and I realized why I got a later start in life. So keep going.
Yeah. So my parents were, again, while we didn't have a pair of doctors or lawyers in the family, they definitely were always there for us, though. My dad coached and umpired for Little League Baseball when I played. In fact, he even coached after I was too old to play because the kids needed a coach on one of the teams. So he's, both my parents were very generous with their time, and I guess that made me want to make them proud. I think was one of the biggest things. I was the first person on either side of our family to get a college degree, and as soon as I did, just a few years later, I was back getting my master's. So that was important, to me to pay back my parents for their investment.
And you went to Penn State undergrad, correct?
Yes, I went to Penn State where I studied economics. Had no idea what I was going to do with it, but how many 18, 19-year-old people know what they really want to do the rest of their lives?
Sure.
I just told myself to study what I enjoyed. Just follow that path, and somehow there has to be a job at the other end that I'll enjoy.
Or you could participate in the football program, right? And be involved in athletics over there.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So economics it was. And then when I finished up, I thought about, hey, what do economics degrees get? Well, they typically sell insurance or go into stock brokerage or something along those lines. That wasn't the life for me. Honorable life for you, Jay. Wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. But it worked out great because I was actually hired to be a buyer out of college, a little different route for economics majors. And that was for, at the time, it was the largest department store on the East Coast. It was Hecht's and Strawbridge's. Later, they were bought out by Macy's while I was still there. So essentially worked for a Macy's type store for about 6 years. And just a great start. I don't know how much people know about a buyer or a merchant in that world, but they write their own advertising. They oversee the planning process for how many units they're going to buy and what they're going to buy. They're picking the product, but it's more than just that. We followed receipts. knew how to track orders and, again, write advertising copy and write a store floor plan for your area. So it's really a wide scope of business responsibility, and which I really enjoy, that high level view.
Mike, so tell me more. I like what I'm hearing.
Right. So I had chased the dollar to that director role, as I said, and decided, though, my real love was, the new. I loved the new season launch when I was buying coats. I loved the new marketing plans. Everything new was really where my passion was. And so I pursued an MBA at the University of Maryland, and with a focus in new and emerging businesses. The idea, it was eventually probably entrepreneurship for myself. And in the meantime, what I wanted to do was work to grow businesses.
Sure. Okay. And then on to Victoria's Secret.
Yes. Yeah. It was, again, right place, right time. And sometimes that's what you need in a good career. Just as I finished up my MBA, someone I had worked with went on to become the chairman at Victoria's Secret stores.
Wow.
And he had a test concept. He liked this concept. It was not cannibalizing the rest of the business, highly incremental product, and brought in a new and younger customer. So he assigned me to this project to roll out this new brand. So everything from brand development to marketing to how do you build a team, who do we need, when do we hire them, and I basically became a little mini CEO of what was a test concept. Well, 3 years later, the brand Victoria's Secret Pink had a 35-person self-operating business unit, and we did $1 billion in revenue. Obviously, that wasn't me, right? It was a great team, but talk about the experience, right? I like to say that even a fly on the wall during that time earned themselves an honorary MBA from somewhere, because we were fast and furious. There aren't many concepts that go from start to $1 billion inside of 3 years. Yeah, just amazing experience, Jay. It really was fun. Fabulous, talented people, making each other smarter every day.
And Mike, it's such a conversation piece. As soon as you mentioned the name of the company, people start drawing little stories about what you really did and who are you and everything else. So it must be a nice thing in your conversations to chuckle and laugh, but then explain that you were a very serious businessman and you picked up some very, very serious skills.
Yes, yeah, there are several red-faced stories I could tell you from those days. Just being a little more intimate with the product than you kind of expect when you start there. But yeah, absolutely, it was real business. I mean, this was a multi-billion-dollar company growing $1 billion business inside of it. So all jokes aside, yeah, it was definitely down to business and let's make it happen.
And then you found your way into being a certified business coach and really took it seriously. You've got your certificates, you really did whatever work they wanted you to do on the side to really learn, so somebody could really pick you, not just for academics, credentials, but that you really knew what you were talking about besides the whole back end, the front end of your career. So let's talk about this.
Yeah. So after Pink, I did a few more things at Victoria's Secret. Some folks will be familiar with VSX, the Victoria's Secret Sport line, another business that I was there to start from scratch. And other companies then, of course, knowing me and knowing the work that I had done, folks I had worked with previously reached out to me and brought me on board. So I went to a few other places, e-commerce and bricks and mortar retail again, and created, new markets, new categories, new businesses, new key product launches, et cetera. That was what everybody wanted me to do after my success with Pink. Yeah, then it was, okay, I'm gonna, go ahead and leave the corporate world, work for myself, and I'm gonna consult back in, right? I'm gonna work for the big guys again, doing what I've done for several years. But I said I was going to take a break. I have two daughters. This is March time period. And I decided I'm going to travel during the spring. And then my 10-year-old and 6-year-old daughter at the time, I'm going to spend the summer with them. So I talked to the CEO of the country's largest retail specific consulting company here in Columbus, Ohio. And, we had made an agreement, we're going to work together. But I said, talk to me in July. I'm taking some time. It was kind of the middle of career. Felt like a good time to take a break. During that break, I had a few friends who had small businesses, 1 to 10 person shops. We're talking, Jay, very small compared to my past. Knew that I wasn't working, knew what I had done in the past, and a couple folks hired me on for some small projects. And that's when I realized it's really, really fun, Jay, when you look at a corporate earnings statement and can say, man, the projects I did this year were 10 up to 20% I can account for of the total value of a company. It's really cool. But you know what's better? Giving a business owner their family back. Creating a situation where people don't have to fight over whose car payment gets paid that month because they both get paid and a college fund gets funded. That's what I get to do now. And it is a way bigger reward than all of the pats on the back and fun stories and awards I've received for the big guys.
I still remember the interview with Jeff Immelt, the former CEO of GE, it was with his wife. And they're talking, I think they interviewed her on a Sunday, and she says, this is the only time I get to see him for about 5-6 hours Sunday morning. Then he's got to go back to work. So everybody admired the situation. They grew up wanting to be CEO of GE. But what kind of life is that, especially if you're married and have kids?
Yeah. One of my favorite client stories. Oh, sorry, Jay.
No, you're there. I was just saying you figured it out at a younger age. Preserving your family is the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I was getting ready to say there. My favorite client story is someone who was doing pretty well. No formal education after high school, but had an amazing business in construction, and he did a lot of lighting for like large parking lots. Imagine a McDonald's sign, all of those big lighting jobs. He's making good money. He was doing fine. He owned his business for 9 years and had never taken a weekday off of work. He had children who were 6 and 8. So you do the math, Jay. They had never been on a family vacation. And that's what he said he wanted. That was his business goal, was I want to be able to take my family on a vacation. We worked together for a few months, laid out roles and responsibilities for his team. We had backups for everything. And just before Christmas that year, Jay sent I got my favorite text. He said, guess what's going in the stockings this year? I've got us passes for 7 days at the different theme parks in Orlando. And then the second week, we're going to drive up the coast from Florida to North Carolina and stop at beaches along the way because my kids have never seen a beach. I mean, talk about a reward, right? I've got all kinds of accolades and, the virtual employee of the month, signs on my wall, rip them down, throw them out because that text means a lot more than all of them combined.
Bingo.
Really cool.
Bingo. The bell goes off. Luckily, it went off when it did. So, in conclusion, you've been coming to the R&B group, I imagine now for about 8 to 9 months. You've been bringing some very, very high quality guests. Give us a little ideas. What do you think? How has it been to you? Have you been gaining, enjoying? Tell us a little bit more about your experience.
Yeah, the R&B group has been fabulous. I spend upwards of 15 hours networking each week in large groups. That doesn't count one-on-ones, but in a group setting like that. And it is by far the absolute most productive time on my calendar. I love the group because everyone knows we're there to network, right? There's a lot of other places I go, and there's all kinds of talk or a speaker in between networking. If I want to network, I want to network. If I want to watch a podcast, I'll watch a podcast. They're two different things. So I just love how the group works together. And, I don't know how many folks have been to multiple networking events here in the post-COVID era. But, I get on calls sometimes and I'll say, hey, let's connect one-on-one. And I'll get a no, thank you. Well, why are you here if you're not here to meet people? But everybody at R&B, 100% open to one-on-one conversation after the meeting. Anybody will give you 30 minutes. Let's just see what there is there. How can we work together? If we don't find anything else, hopefully we had a good 30-minute chat.
It's the funniest thing on the phone when people ask me about the agenda. And I say, there ain't none. We just get into breakout rooms and then we stay after school. So you guys can hang out for another 45 minutes in the whole room and just have fun and exchange. And then, pick up the phone, set up meetings for yourselves. That's really it. I mean, people know what I do, but if I start talking about stuff, it would, really ruin the effect. So thank you for that endorsement. Any final thoughts that you'd just like to tell our audience?
Yeah, so everyone, here we are. We're on the pivotal edge of hopefully starting to make our way out of COVID.
Yep.
For those of you who are selling products and services to customers, do yourself a favor, pick up Maslow's hierarchy. It's a nice little pyramid, and it talks about where people are emotionally, and then where that's going to take their actions. And you'll see that during the initial COVID periods, everybody moved down that scale because everybody just had to stay safe. That's it. We wanted to stay safe. But now that things are starting to open up, take a look. People are going to start marching back up that pyramid. And how can you position your business on each step along the way as we get back there to maximize your leads and customers?
Well, Mike, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Really appreciate your thoughts, your friendship, and your loyalty to our group. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Jay. Thanks for this, and thanks for leading the group, because it like you said, it's a simple mission and a simple agenda, but somebody had to realize, hey, it can be just that simple.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.